Hey, you guys. I'm glad to be back. I've been away this week. I've been moving, and I'm glad to be back putting up some content for you guys. Thanks for clicking on the video. And in this video, even though I've got a lot of other content that I'm going to be getting to this week, in this video, I want to quickly kind of just get started and touch on the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith situation. Not as much to do with what happened with Chris Rock, but kind of taking a look at Will and Jada's relationship, because this is something that I am passionate about. I've always liked to study other couples, examine relational dynamics, and see what things are factoring into their relationships, generally dating back to their childhoods. I believe there's an area of study that actually focuses on this in psychology. And I learned about it. It was from the Watts murder case, actually. Psychologist Lena Derhally, she wrote the book, My Daddy is a Hero, about Chris Watts, how he went from family man to family murderer. And I learned a lot about her background. She is Imago certified. And I wanted to know, what is Imago? And that is an area where she actually works with couples. She is a psychologist, and she specializes in couples therapy and working with couples. And the Imago theory, or the Imago training, that specifically focuses in on couples with how their childhood, unmet needs from childhood factor into their adult relationship. So, I got to kind of learn about that, and I'm very interested in that because that's something I've been working on all of my life. A survivor of childhood trauma, physical, emotional, and sexual abuse in my childhood. Grew up with an alcoholic father who was also highly narcissistic. My parents had all kinds of things going on. Grew up in a very violent childhood. And then I had a lot going on in my teens, running away, and I was in different behavioral places. I had a therapist, thank God. I got married very young at 17, then divorced, married again, had 2 children, was married for 7 or 8 years, got out of that. Long story. My life has just been full of experiences, okay? But this is something that I've always been passionate about because I was born into trauma, and it affected my adult relationships. I had a lot of work to do and a lot to learn. And so some people are not as lucky, though. They either don't have a therapist, or they don't get certain needs met in childhood where, I had people coming after me. I had the courts putting me in behavioral institutions for kids and places where I could get help. I had a therapist court appointed to me, and I kept her a great deal of my life. Not everyone is that lucky, and a lot of people grow up in trauma, or it doesn't even have to be an abusive childhood. Sometimes there is a wound that takes place in childhood. Maybe it's a divorce of the parents. Maybe there was bullying at school. Some kind of trauma might happen. And a lot of times these kids grow up and they go right into their adult marriages. They get married at 20, start having babies. They don't get time to heal those wounds. They don't take time to think about that. They get busy raising a family, working, and they carry all of these unmet needs right on into their marriage. Then as time goes on, shit gets rocky, okay? It can get very toxic and things can go very wrong. And a lot of people in the world do not even think about this. It doesn't even occur to them that the problems in the marriage have to do with unmet needs from childhood, unresolved traumas from childhood. A lot of people, it doesn't even cross their mind, but this is where 90% of the problems come from. Yeah. So anyway, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. All right. So we all know what happened at the Oscars. We know what happened with Chris Rock. And I'm not going to really get into that at this time. I may make another video on it later, but there's lots to say about Will and Jada. Overall, I think as a couple, I think they are on a very spiritual journey together. I think that they, despite all the dysfunction, all the non-traditional things they have going on, I think that they have made a lot of spiritual progress together. And for me personally, Now, I'm going to examine this. I'm going to try to from just a non-biased, third-party, observational, try to be objective about the whole situation and just look at both of them in a fair way. I don't want to get, this is not about, a lot of the world right now is just picking one side or the other side. It's all her fault. Jada's a monster. She's been doing all these bad things, and look at poor Will, or Will's a monster. Look at him. He's going off on, the world is really just trying to limit this down to, this is just one person's fault. One person is responsible. We figured it out. Here's exactly what's going on. Come on. Okay, there's a lot that's not being talked about and being more deeply examined. And so I'm going to be looking at it from a very, very well-rounded perspective. And, how I personally look at things in life in my own personal relationships, despite, everything's not going to fit in a nice, neat little box. But I am a highly spiritual person. That's not for everyone. But that's a priority for me. The emotional and spiritual growth in any given experience in my life always takes top priority. So just grabbing onto a partner and making them fit the perfect model of a partner that I think they should be for me, that has never been the most important thing to me. There are going to be flaws. There are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be mistakes. Might be betrayals. There are going to be issues. And within those issues, I might go kicking and screaming. I may react like any human would at first. I may get angry or depressed or sad. But I am always going to take that experience and try to work through that and pull the highest growth and learn as much as I can from that experience. I'm always going to come out of it with some higher wisdom or higher knowledge is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and transmute the bad energy. I'm not going to go into denial. I'm not going to be fake about it. No. If it's painful and it pissed me off and it's real, then I'm going to get it on the table. I'm going to confront what's accountable. If I'm accountable, you're accountable. I'm going to feel the very real, raw emotions of what's happening to me. But then once I do that and allow myself to have that authenticity, that pain, that rawness, whatever's real, then later I'm going to take it and I'm going to try and transmute those emotions into how can I benefit from this? It's happened to me. I've worked through it. It was painful. Now, how can I use this as something productive? Something positive. And no, that I'm not talking that toxic positivity shit, because I don't do that. That's when people kind of just deny everything and go, it's okay. It's okay. There's some lesson in it. Just be happy. I don't do that. Not at first. No. I'm very real about shit like that. People need to be allowed to have their anger, their authentic emotions, their stress, their fear, their anxiety, their heartbreak. They need to be allowed to feel that and work through that, yes. But then, I'm going to take it and I'm going to transmute that shit and go, what did I learn from that damn experience? I'm not going to accomplish anything just sitting here in that feeling forever, making a victim of myself. I wouldn't take it so far that some people do, and it's like they're just stuck right there in constant victim mode forever. This happened to me, and I believe in validating people's trauma and their pain, but I can also see that some people get manipulative with that shit, and all they're seeking is pity and attention, and it just wears you out. At some point, we have to transmute that. It's our responsibility to start working on healing some of that and not just stay stuck in it. And if you do want to stay stuck in it, then I think that's your right. But as long as you don't have to include anyone else in that. And typically, you're not the only human being on this earth. You're going to affect someone else if you don't work on healing your wounds. So pretty much, it's kind of a responsibility that we have to work on that stuff. That's the way I feel. Anyway, so let me touch on a few things about Will and Jada. Now, I've been hearing different commentary. I've been listening to a lot of interviews from Jada, a lot from Will. I've been hearing a lot of people weigh in on this stuff, and there's things that people are missing. It's really all going to be about perspective. It's going to be, we can only view other situations from our own level of personal experience, our own level, our frame of reference, what we've experienced in the past. We can only view it from that. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett got together when they were very young, in their early 20s. And at that time, Jada Pinkett had a well-known friendship, deep best friendship with Tupac Shakur. They were homies. She loved Tupac. Now, I've studied Tupac and Jada to a degree, but I don't really know. From what I gather, back then, they weren't in love, because from what I recall, Tupac was with another woman at the time of his death, maybe engaged, and Jada was getting ready to marry Will. She got with Will before Tupac died. And so that's where I get a little confused, with all this hype going on right now about, oh my God, Jada is in love with a ghost. She's in love with another man. That's all she goes on about, and it's very hurtful to Will. Okay, but this was the beginning. Jada Pinkett and Tupac grew up together. They went to school together. They met at school. I found out a lot of great stuff. I am a huge Tupac fan. I've always been. But I did not know that Tupac attended this performing arts school and was introduced to all sorts of things, like even ballet. That was fascinating to me. So Tupac had this great education, and that is where he met Jada. Okay, and they became best friends, and Jada loved Tupac with her heart, and Tupac loved Jada. They had this thing, but they weren't a couple. Their relationship had never been, from what I can gather, consummated like that. And they were with other people at the time of his death. Well, Tupac was killed, of course, and this devastated Jada. And at the time, she is pregnant with her first child with Will Smith. And from what I could gather, Jada really did not agree with the institution of marriage. She did not want to be married. From what I can gather, it's a very complicated thing going on there. That Jada did love Will Smith. She did want to be with him for life. As I also think she wanted to be with Tupac for life. She even said, I thought he was going to be here for the long haul. But Jada was on some whole other level with this type of be with for life idea, okay? And we're all on different levels with that stuff. It doesn't make us a bad person just because our idea of be with you forever may not be right beside you forever with a marriage certificate. Her idea, it just depends on what two people want out of life, what they want and expect out of a relationship. It doesn't necessarily make her a terrible person. She loved Will Smith. She's pregnant with her first child with him. But she really did not believe in the institution of marriage and the traditional rules and things, structures that come within the laws of our society's marriage, okay? Jada really wasn't about that, and she was very honest and upfront with Will about those things. But it seems like at the time her mother was very upset because her daughter is pregnant and she wants them to be married. And it seems from what I can gather from interviews, listening to Jada and her mother, that the mother put quite a bit of pressure on her to go ahead and be married because she was pregnant. Now, we've all heard Jada talk about, oh my God, it was the most horrible day of my life. I cried going down the aisle. It was just the most terrible thing. And then we hear Will Smith say, it was the best day of my life. I never wanted anything more than just to get married and be a father and be a husband. And it was so wonderful. And I love that day. And we hear him kind of laughing off the way Jada's talking about it like the most horrific day of her life. Okay, we have some things going on here. And people do have their opinions about it. Okay? But from what I can see, Jada did not lie to that man. She did not play him. She told him from day one who she really was. And you know that saying, if someone tells you who they are up front, believe them. Please believe them. Because they're generally not typically going to change. And many of us will sit right there and somebody's telling us straight up, look, this is who I am. I don't like commitment. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want to be married. I want this particular life. This is how I operate. And we will go right on into that relationship. We'll nod our head and say, oh, I love you anyway. I believe you. But I love you anyway. I'll agree to anything. I don't care that you're like that. I don't care. I love you anyway. Oh, I can handle it. You know how many times somebody's told me that they could handle it? Because I'm the type of person that will tell you straight up who I am. I'll tell you all the flaws I got, everything. I'm going to put it right on the table right in the beginning. My horrible PMS, how terribly mental it makes me, my flaws, my faults, my difficulties. I'll put that shit right up front. This is who I am, and it's not going to change. I work on it to the best of my ability, but that's up to me. These are my boundaries. Can you accept me or not? I'm telling you up front. I'm giving you an out up front. If you don't think you can handle it, it's your job and your responsibility to guard your emotions. Okay, so let's get into this. We're going to take this one step at a time. I'm probably going to have to do a couple different videos about it. Let's get into this from day one with Will and Jada. They're both very young. And I've been in that position before. I've been on both sides of it. I've been the person that went right on into a relationship after being told. In fact, I had an almost 10-year relationship like that. On again, off again. We weren't committed. We weren't living together. But I really, really loved this person. And he had told me from day one, I don't want a commitment. I don't want to get married. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. Okay, now, here we go. At that point, and yes, I did go through a couple years of blaming and why not me and what's wrong with me and you've got a problem and I'm so hurt. I had to grow through that. That relationship taught me a lot. But you know, we as a society, we actually judge people like that. We actually look at a person that's really honest like that and say, well, why don't you want commitment? Well, you're just a bad person then. You shouldn't be like that to that boy. You should commit to him. Or you shouldn't be like that to that girl. She's really down for you. What do you mean you don't want commitment? What do you mean you just want to be this identity out here in the world? You just want to work on your career. What do you mean you don't? It means what it fucking says. That they don't want that. They know what's best for them. That's a boundary. And you know, a lot of times in this world, we have a horrible time accepting that not everyone on this planet is here to be married. Not everyone on this planet is out here looking for the perfect mate to attach to and have a life with. That is not everyone's idea of happiness, okay? Building an identity for ourselves, finding our purpose, what are our passions, who are we outside of another human? A lot of times people attach to other humans very early in their lives when they still have a lot of growing to do, a lot of finding themselves to do. And I have found, even me, until I grew spiritually and emotionally over the years, even I had a hard time with people who were that into their own identity, who were that strong, that decisive, and could say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm not, this is who I am, and I'm going to tell you honestly up front to save you a lot of pain. That was a very smart move, okay? And a lot of times we judge people like that. Now, that's not to say that dude had the best personality, because he didn't. And he was highly narcissistic in a lot of ways. I went through a lot of pain with that person. But still yet, I had to give him credit for that honesty. He didn't try to play me. Those are the worst fucking types. He didn't try to play me and agree to everything I said and, oh, I just love you and I want to marry you. And he didn't pull any of that future faking shit. And I have to respect that kind of blunt fucking honesty up front. Okay? Now, here's what happens. And I feel like this went on with Will and Jada. She told him who she was from day one, okay? Now, I'm going to examine this whole thing very fairly as possible. Looking at Jada and looking at Will, I think they're both great people in a lot of ways, and I think they're both very flawed, too, in a lot of ways, like any other humans. Now, but that's happened to me before, being told straight up who the person was, and I just kept, but back in my mind, see, people will secretly have ideas and reservations, and they will be like, they will agree to what that other person says. Oh, I can handle that. I accept that. Yes, I want to be with you so much. I accept that. And in the back of their mind, they'll be thinking, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to change you. You'll change for me. You'll change for me. Watch, you'll love me. You'll do what I want. You'll come around. We go right into something like that. They'll change for me. They'll love me. They're going to change. We do that shit, okay? That is not right. Stop yourself right there. When someone tells you who they are from day one, and you make an agreement with them, and you agree to accept them, and you really don't even know yet. You haven't even seen them in action. When they say, this is my personality, this is my bad side, this is what's going to happen, you need time. It's hard to just agree to something that fast and go, oh, I can handle it. You don't really know what you're talking about. You need time for you to be put in that situation with them and see how you're going to handle it. See, we agree to things too quickly in relationships sometimes. That's why it's important to really take it slow, okay? Then we get on down the line, and they don't change. And then we end up acting all shocked and butthurt at how they're acting, how they're treating us. But technically, they told us from day one who they were, what they were not down for, who they were never going to be, and it was us. It was we who didn't take responsibility and listen to them, be aware of that boundary, and protect our own emotions from them, respect that, and work on ourselves. It is we who need to take responsibility for that. We can't get on down the line and go, oh my God, she's just a terrible person. He's a terrible person. He's doing this, and this, and just not treating me right. And he shouldn't be acting like this and shouldn't be acting like that. And they told us from day one that that's who they were. Okay, so I think that's the beginning. That is the beginning of Will and Jada. He had a more traditional outlook on marriage and family, and I don't think he wanted to go along with her more open views of marriage deep down inside, but he did it anyway. Now, see, here's where we get into trouble. Okay, and Will has talked about how Jada was raised a different type of way, how she had family members that were in open marriages, and her whole concept, whether that's a damaged or broken person or not, whether it's just a really open-minded individual. Too many people put labels on that. Maybe she came from trauma, maybe she didn't. Maybe she's just a very open-minded, highly evolved, spiritually open individual who does not believe in the confines and structures of this third-dimensional reality. Society says this is what marriage has to be. Society says this is what a woman has to be. Maybe she just doesn't feel all of that. It doesn't necessarily mean, man, she's fucked up. A lot of people put labels on people like that just because they choose an alternative lifestyle. But a lot of times, they didn't come from trauma at all. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. They're not fucking broken. They just are who they are. They don't want to be confined to a certain idea or restricted to a certain type of deal, you know? And so that doesn't necessarily make them a bad or broken person. Some people are just, that's who they are. I'm that way about relationships a lot. I've been through a lot of shit when it comes to do with relationships. I'm a very, very independent type of person who I love my solitude. I love my freedom. I love to express. I've got so much inside here and here that I don't necessarily just I need a relationship so bad. Oh my God, I'm just searching the earth. I don't have all that going on. I had to work through a lot of that codependent feeling in my past. Now, for the right person, absolutely. I love companionship. I love male companionship. For the right person, we have things in common, and I think relationships are wonderful. I've been married twice in the past. They can be absolutely wonderful. It just depends. If you find compatibility in someone who can accept you and not control you and all these different aspects, okay? But we really need to think about this, guys. I've been on both sides of it, where I was told up front and I didn't respect that, and only I ended up getting hurt, and only I could be to blame in the end. They told me. And so I had no right to really sit there butthurt about it. But boy, I did. I did it. I went through that. But I learned and I grew from that place. That, wait a minute. Now, ultimately, this man told me what was up. And I went through those stages of, well, what's wrong with you? You're just a bad guy. You just want to go out and sleep with this one and be free to do this and be free to do that. And that makes you a terrible person. There's a lot of people out there like that are putting labels on men and women who want to live a free and single life. It doesn't necessarily make them a horrible person, especially if they don't lie to you about it. The horrible people are the ones that lie to you about it. That's horrible to me. Manipulate you, and you're the only one for me. I'm so loyal, and I just want to only be with you. Now, you better make sure you're only with me. Those fucking snakes that trap you into being loyal to them, but you come to find out they are not loyal. Being monogamy is the last thing on their mind. It's those types of people that, to me, that would come close to what I would call bad people. Don't do that shit. But these people that just tell you straight up who they are, look, I don't fit into that. If you want, we can work this out some type of way. If you can accept this about me and really love me for me, even though I am this person and I have this about me, then that's great. And we can work from there, which is what I kind of think Will Smith and Jada had set up at first. She told him, I do want to be with you. I do love you. I also have this deep love for Tupac Shakur. And, Will's had to deal with a lot of that. But it was more of a friendship with Tupac and Jada. But we'll get more into that later because a lot of shit has come out about that. But I think Will Smith agreed to this in the beginning with Jada. I can handle it. I love you. I'm determined. Now, here's something I also want to bring into everyone's awareness. May or may not be true, but we need to think about it because I've experienced things like this before. Like I said, I've been on both sides of this coin. I've been the person that somebody was telling me straight up, look, I don't want commitment. I don't want a steady girlfriend. I don't want to get married. Now, if you can love me anyway and we can have something there along those lines and you can accept that, then cool. If not, I've been that person and I learned and grew from that and evolved through that instead of holding resentments and not working through it. And then I've also been the person telling somebody that same thing. Hey, look here, look, whoa, back up. I'm not looking for commitment. I'm not trying to do this whole relationship. Wow, let's get married all of a sudden. I'm not trying to be tied up like that. Doesn't make me a bad girl. I am loving. I am loyal, but I have other things I want to focus on. I need my space. I need my time. I think you're a wonderful guy. I love your companionship, but let's back this down. I've also been the girl telling someone that, and them sit there in my damn face and agree. Oh, I respect that. I love you anyway. Yes, I can handle that. I am the guy for you. I will accept your personality. And me really thinking that this is a true person. This is going to turn out to be a real motherfucker. This is going to turn out to be somebody who really does respect what I say. Who does respect that boundary, even though he's not getting exactly what he wants. This is going to be a real dude. And then come to find out later on, they were just blowing smoke up my ass. That they too kept reservations in the back of their mind that they could change me. I'm the dude that can handle that. I respect who you are. I will respect you as a woman and your boundaries and your freedom and whatever your passions are, and you be happy. I'm just here loving you. That's the way I feel it should be with people anyway. Not neediness, not I'm so empty, you complete me. I don't believe in that shit. Just two people who enjoy the fuck out of each other's company and they make each other's lives a bit better. I think that's great. But then come to find out later on, that same dude that would say, I've got you, I accept you, in his mind thought he could change me and tried. Later on, come to find out, he's got all these resentments and starts acting some fucking type of way later on, like he's controlling and why am I acting how I am when I told him from day one who I was and what boundaries I didn't want to cross. They will do you like that. I've been on both sides of the coin, I'm here to tell you. We have to be very honest when we're told by somebody. We need to believe them and prepare for that and act accordingly. And when we tell somebody, when somebody tells us, we need to listen to them. And yes, act accordingly. And then when we tell somebody else, it's their damn responsibility to believe us, to respect that boundary and prepare. They get to decide whether they want to stick around with us or not. Whether they are the real deal that just loves us enough as a human to stick around in our lives and prepare their emotions, not get all, don't let themselves go there. Don't let yourself go there if you've been told by another human, this is as far as I can go with you. This is the way I am. Then it's your responsibility to protect yourself from that point. Don't allow yourself to go, oh, I can change him. I know I can. I can change her. I know. Sooner or later, she's going to bow down and love me and do what I want, and it will be just like I envision it to be, but I'm going to keep that a secret. That causes problems, okay? So this is number one to get on the table. Be authentic, be honest, be real about who you are, and when someone tells you who they are, believe them, prepare for that, and respect that.